Do that. All right, all right. Welcome. So to the very first session of Metro AI. It'll eventually be called Metro AI, but for purposes moving forward, initially, BrokerBot is the company that we are licensing this product through. So Metro AI is what it'll eventually be called. So if you hear me reference both, just know eventually we will just be calling it Metro AI. I want to welcome you guys to the very first training that we're having on this. And if you just want to do a show of hands or a like button to let me know that you are logged in, you have been logged into Metro AI and you've been asking it questions. I do see some of the questions you guys are asking. Just go ahead and hit the thumbs up or you can put hearts in or whatever. Um, Anybody? Bueller? Aaron, I do like you are using it a lot and you're asking it great questions as well too. So you're getting full use of it. So why did we bring this in? Well, we know that the world is moving into AI, and we wanted to be on the cutting edge of what is being offered. And we looked at this as a tool. So let's give a little brief explanation about what BrokerBot is. BrokerBot is a closed AI tool that allows you to go in and use it similar to what you're using for ChatGPT or Perplexity, Gemini, Claude. But the difference between those system and this system, because it is closed, it's secured. Meaning, if you put regular, let's say a purchase agreement into ChatGPT, sometimes you might have personal information that goes out. And when they call it open AI, it's open, meaning it goes out into all the AI, other AI systems out there. So it's not very secure. We wanted a system that would allow you to be able to access something where you didn't have to worry about sharing confidential, private, or information about your clients. And so when we say it's closed, it is closed. But how does it interact? It does interact with over 200 AI networks out there like Claude and Gemini and ChatGPT. So it's connecting with them, but it's not putting that personal information out there to have a worry about security of that information. So this is the first class. And as every class, I do like to make it very interactive for people. And if you do have questions, please, by all means, raise your hand, go off of mute. I want to make sure that you guys are all getting the information necessary to understand and use this at a very high level. And hopefully you all have had the opportunity of logging into the system and using it. Today, we're going to do a broad overview, and then if there's time at the end, we'll go in and do some of the stuff, information that you should be asking Metro AI. But we're going to break it up into four parts today. The first one is obviously the foundation, it's introduction of what Metro AI, we just covered that. And then the next thing about, and the most important part is the art of asking questions. And that is really the key to utilizing AI at a really, really, really high level. So we're going to talk about master prompt engineering. And if you're connected to the Inner Office Facebook page and you go through that, or if you read Broker Bob's emails that he sends out on a regular basis, maybe you don't read, maybe you do read. But I did share some really good prompts for you to use to get the best out of AI. And then we'll go into the playbook. Well, what are some practical uses and how are you going to save some time? And then module four would be some advanced strategies and do some Q&A at the end. Before we begin, I want to share this. So not only is this a great tool that you guys will have the access to use, but also BrokerBot as a company is now merging, or they're now going to be a provider inside of your command system. And I'm in a pilot program right now to test and train that. And it just got kicked off last Friday, and they started doing some testing this week, and I'm in that group. And here's the great thing about it. When I was sitting in what they were presenting that they're going to be able to do, the time savings and the efficiencies that you guys will be able to have within your database using Command as well as BrokerBot, you're going to free up so much time that you're going to have the ability to actually go out and gather more business. And here's where I see this. And you've heard me say AI won't replace agents, but the agents that incorporate AI will replace those that don't. Now, it's really important you get that. That is key because this is what I saw and what I realized last Friday when we were being introduced to BrokerBot and Command being integrated. I realized at that point that the agents that really understand tech and can harness it and utilize it to their capability will be able to free themselves up more with all the stuff that takes you time, energy, and effort, all the monotonous stuff as a solo agent. You're going to be able to get more done in quicker time, but that's then going to allow you to go out and do what you should be doing more of, and that is spending more quality time with the people you're doing business with and having more time in your day to go find more business. So keep that in mind as you move forward into advancing and putting AI into a practice. The key benefits right there on the right-hand side says time leverage. You're going to be able to automate some of the boring stuff that you don't want to do anymore. Here's an example. You get a fully executed purchase agreement. You upload it into BrokerBot. You say, send out your regular emails to everybody on this. Like you'll have introductory emails whenever you open up a transaction. I'm assuming when you open up a transaction, you include in on your transaction coordinator, you include in all the buyer's agents, the escrow people, the title people that you want to communicate, hey, we have an open escrow. Well, guess what? If you have that systematized, it's going to now be automated. You just tell it what to do and it will send out all those emails. So it's not going to take the place of a transaction coordinator, but it's going to allow them to have all the information that you spent maybe an hour cluing everybody in who is the contact information. Now you've done it in 30 seconds or less. The other thing that I like from a risk management perspective is you're going to be able to get information on the fly with BrokerBot when you can't get a hold of your favorite broker on a Saturday night because it's cocktail hour and you're trying to write a contract for a tenant occupied property and you forgot what forms you need to use and you forgot how to make sure that you have the contract right. Now, it's not going to take the place of the broker, but I have already preloaded and spent a lot of time on the back end preloading a lot of the most common questions that I get because I've kept a record of everything. You see these broker advisories that go out, it's because everybody's asking the same question. And over the last decade of doing this, I realized if I just systematize my responses to the most common questions, it's going to make my job a lot easier, and I can get it back to you in a lot quicker time. And then the other benefit, which you guys are going to love, is overcoming writer's block for your marketing and client communications. You all say the same things. We know we need to be out there in a digital world, but what do I put on my social media? How do I draft it? And I'm going to show you in the responses how to draft a response to get the most effective use of all your social media that you're doing out there. So who's excited about that? Give me some hearts. Give me some raised hands. Show me, okay, I'm excited about this. All right. Well, everybody's not excited about it. Okay. So we've introduced you, Metro AI. You've all got the email to register. If you have not received the email and have not registered, then Nancy, you're on the call, I see. You did send out emails about what they need to do. Can you remind them, please? Can you come off of mute and remind them what they need to do if they have not registered and they're having trouble accessing it? We can't hear you. I'm sorry, I caught her off guard.
Yeah, I didn't think I was gonna talk. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you simply just have to email Ari or myself, and then we'll send you the invite again. And we just have to make sure that it's a KW email. That's the email address that you'll be using to access.
Thank you. So we chose to have it make sure you're using your KW email. We know that a lot of you don't use it, but we highly recommend you use a KW email. And here's why. You run a business. And if you were to email a company, like let's say you want to email somebody at Apple or Dell or ChatGPT or whatever, you wanted to email something. You're running a business. Wouldn't you want the people you do business with to look like you're with that business? So my recommendation, and if you are using a personal email from a compliance standpoint, you should be making sure that you have two-factor, multi-factor authentication set up because you're already hacked. And we know the KW email address has security systems put in place to prevent you from being hacked. So that's why we went to just say, okay, you have to use your KW email address to get in and out. Okay. So when you log in, this is what it's going to look like. And this is the main welcome screen. And you'll see there the four main things that it's going to show you what to do is marketing package for a new listing, practice scripts and objection handlers, preliminary contract review, and image generation. So let's talk a little bit about marketing package for a new listing. And I'm going to show you in some of the prompts later on down a few slides what power this has. So I've watched some of you people, I've watched some of the requests for a CMA, which is great. You ask for a CMA for a certain property address, but here's what I want you to look to realize what an AI tool can use. Let's say you have a listing coming up or a listing presentation coming in. I mean, you wanted to create a really powerful listing presentation for this prospective seller. And let's say this home is a single family home in Paradise Hills. And no, let's say Poway. Let's say Poway. And we know that Poway is probably in San Diego one of the best school districts. A lot of people want to live there because they have the best schools. So if you're going to do a listing presentation and you want a good CMA, rather than just asking for a CMA, what you should be asking is, give me a powerful CMA for this property address. You give them the address, and you want to make sure you really zone in on single family homes within the Poway School District within a 2 mile radius or a 1 mile radius of this address. But here's my target market. I want to target families that you'll ask it to go out and look. I want you to pull the demographic, go to the web, pull the demographics of this certain zip code, and who is my ultimate buyer for this property? Because I want to do a customized pre-listing packet for this home that also caters to how I'm going to show that seller that I'm going to target market the specific buyer that wants this home. So you've taken a basic CMA and you incorporated who the ultimate buyer is, because that's ultimately something that you do different than every other listing agent that just does a CMA. You've customized a pre-listing packet catered towards marketing to the specific buyer that that house will ultimately end up with. And it couldn't estimate. So if you got Poway as an example, now you can do a luxury buyer in La Jolla, or you can do a beach buyer in Del Mar. You cater that listing packet to who the ultimate buyer is. The other thing in there is preliminary contract review. I'm going to love this because for those of you that we have a great compliance director named Mark, but when you get your initial review and you get a list of stuff that you did wrong, this will help correct that. So you can upload a PDF of a purchase agreement that you're going to send out on some of your buyers. So for a contract you're trying to get your buyer in, and you could say, please analyze this and see if there's anything that I've missed or need to fill back in. And it will do that. The other thing you can do for contract review, let's say you have multiple purchase agreements from a listing you have, and if you have one of those really popular ones, it's getting 10 to 15 offers. It's a single family home priced between 700 and 1.5 million. And you've got 15 offers that come in, You can upload every offer into Metro AI, have it review everything, and ask the prompt to review it, and then give recommendations that you can help guide your seller through. And it can come up with the counter offers for the best offers. So that's one thing it could do. The other thing it'll do is your practice scripts and objection handlers. This is really great if you've got a presentation coming up and you want to role play with Metro AI. You can role play with that with Metro AI, and it'll give you different levels. It'll say, do you want easy, medium, or hard? So if you're on the fly and you're brand new and you haven't done a listing presentation in a long time, you can get in there and practice. You can give the who exactly the seller is, if they're an analytical person, or if they are an inf a direct person. Maybe they're a driver, or maybe they're a socializer, or maybe they're a sympathetic person. You know, you basically using the disc. You can role play that presentation with Metro AI. I preloaded all those dialogues that we teach you in dialogues class and training, and thousands of questions I've input to Metro AI to help you. And then the other thing it does is photorealistic image generation. So you can virtually stage some of your listings with this. So great thing too as well. Okay. So that's what it is when you log in. So let's talk about the mastering of prompt engineering. The golden rule, garbage in, garbage out. So, as I said, I've seen some of you people that have gone in there and asked questions, and you've asked questions based upon what you think it to do. But here's the trick behind a master prompt and why you'll get better information when you ask the right question. And it's the quality of your prompt that's going to determine the information that you get. And basically, there's a framework you use. It's called RTCF. The first is the role. You want to tell the AI who to be. Okay. So who to be? I want to be a luxury listing agent in La Jolla. Or I want to be a specialist in Poway School District. A specialist listing agent in the Poway area because I specialize in helping families with two kids that want to go to Poway. That's the framework. Who are you? Or if you're a downtown high-rise specialist, you say that. So depending on the listing, you're going to cater that who you are to be that role. And then the task, be really specific about what you need. We just kind of reviewed from getting a listing presentation and a CMA. What is it I'm really trying to do? I'm trying to target market who this ultimate listing is for. So then that becomes the context. You need to provide all the necessary background detail that you're looking for. So the example would be you go out and say, okay, I am a listing specialist in Poway. I want you to go out and pull demographic information about what's the demographic makeup of this neighborhood and pull that perfect buyer for that neighborhood. And I want to create a customized target marketing campaign. And I want to show the seller how I'm going to go after those specific. And then that gets into the format defining the output you want. I want a customized marketing campaign for that specific buyer. So remember that when you're asking a questions, rather than just saying, give me a CMA for 9214 Pergola Way in San Diego 92120. Okay. The more information you get it, the better output you'll get from it. So again, good prompt versus bad prompt. A bad prompt would be write a post about a house. Well, that's not much direction for the AI to go to. It's too vague, there's no context, and there's no format specified. A good prompt would be act as a luxury real estate agent, write three Instagram posts promoting a four-bedroom Spanish colonial home in Pasadena with a pool and mountain views. The target audience is young professionals. Format is engaging captions with 3 to 5 hashtags each. So this is how you would really then say, okay, this is what's going to one up your social media out there. It's really going to then speak to that buyer that is looking for that specific property. In this case, it was Pasadena. Much different than doing a just listed. And for those of you that who watches the MREA podcast regularly, nobody? Okay. Well, they interviewed an agent in Sacramento that has nailed Instagram. And basically, we've already lost the game with the algorithm. If you're not speaking to the audience with your posts, one of the things that she did was she says, I just don't do just listed. What I do is I speak to who the ultimate buyer is for this property. So let's say you have that listing in Poway that has a school and people want to buy there for a school district. Instead of saying just listed, her Instagram and social media post says, if I was a buyer with 2.5 kids in Poway because they want to go to the Poway school district and they're looking for a home priced between 800 and 1.2, this is the house I would look at. Do you see how that flips that Instagram post on its head rather than just saying just listed? Now I'm targeting the buyer that is looking for that property. And what happens is with the algorithms, it goes out into the virtual world and it will show up in that particular buyer's feed if that's what they're looking for. I highly suggest going back in and going to the MRE podcast and looking for the one that just came out a few weeks ago or a few days ago about hacking the algorithm. And you'll learn on how to do your social media a little bit better with all the tools that she said in that. So because of algorithms, now I will post this presentation in a PDF format after the class today. And I've already posted the live prompt page, but right here where you can see where I say on the bottom right says click here for a live prompt page, it's there. And I've loaded that into the file section of the Facebook inner office page. I've also emailed it out. So if you can't find in your emails, go back and look, but I'll post it again today. But I've got a live prompt page for all the prompts that we're going to go through today, so you'll have access to that moving forward. Module 3, the agent's playbook, part A, transaction and compliance. So we talked about this. You can do contract review on demand. You can upload purchase agreements to make sure you've done it right. You can upload a listing agreement, make sure you've done it right. Or you can upload let's say you're doing a transaction on the weekend that includes a tenant occupied property. You want to make sure you have all the necessary documents needed in your purchase offer. You can make sure you've got all the right stuff done and you filled it out properly. And if not, it'll help you correct it. So that's a good thing. I don't know if anybody here is guilty, but have you ever missed a box on a transaction, on a purchase agreement, like maybe asking for a washer or a dryer? And then you had to buy your buyers a washer or dryer? Okay. I was the only one, me and Ricky Silver. All right. It also helps you with making sure that you've got all of your DRE rules followed when you're doing your advertising for flyers and social media and making sure it's compliant. And then the agent's playbook, listing and market analysis, CMA prep, we've talked about that a little bit. I've seen some really great prompts from some people. And here's the thing about AI, if you're not getting the answer you're wanting, ask it again. Try and break it. Now, these are language models that are still learning. And what you will see sometimes is that Metro AI will be a little slower than you wish. And that's normal and that's okay. But also, if you're not getting the response that you think you can get, ask it again. And it's okay to do that. Now, I do know that a lot of people are using these AI models to help write their property descriptions that sell. So, yes, it's a great thing, but you also want to make sure when you're asking it for a property description that you also want to make sure that it's not violating any fair housing laws and that it's also not over advertising the property for what we call intended use. You want to make sure that you're not saying perfect room for an ADU or large lot for a swimming pool or stuff like that. That could land a listing agent in trouble. If you're putting stuff into the MLS listing, that could be wrong. And they're not able to put the ADU because maybe there's a easement running through the property that won't allow you to do that. Okay? Here's one thing that I've done. Who's ever come up with content that you want to put on social media, but you just don't want to do it? One things that I've done is I've opened up a Substack, and what I do is I use that to put information out into the internet because that helps with the algorithm. So let's say you have a specific type of business and target market you're going for. My recommendation is to create content in your social media and put it out there because that's what's happening with AI. AI is going out and crawling stuff on the internet, and it's going out and looking for specific information that you want. So if you want to target yourself, let's say you want to be a top listing agent in La Jolla, luxury listing agent in La Jolla, then you need to start creating content on your social media and in stuff like Substack that will help frame you as a luxury listing agent in social media. And the great thing about Metro AI is you can create that within the system and it's a closed network. So one of the things I do is every month, if you're a member of SDAR or any, I think PSAR and North County has it too, they publish monthly stats. So what I go is I go in and pull the monthly stats that SDR puts out there. That's the same stuff that Ashley kind of puts together each month, but I pull for the entire market. There's three reports that I pull, and they're all there every month. It's a lender mediated, an overall market, and one other report. And I plug that into Metro AI and I say generate a blog post. And I do a blog post. I do a Substack because Substack is different. Create a Substack post for me analyzing the market in San Diego and make this my March 2026 market update. And here's my target audience. I explain who the target audience is because I'm going after agents that want to join KW Metro. That's who I'm trying to frame myself at. And I have it create me my monthly real estate post on Substack. Now, I used to post it on LinkedIn, but I've switched that because LinkedIn, if someone's not a member of LinkedIn, it's not going out to the community as a whole. So I'm taking all my LinkedIn articles that I put and I'm transferring over them to my Substack. The other things you can do is with your social media is making sure that you're engaging captions tailored for your Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn audience. And what we're learning is you've got about 1.7 seconds to capture someone's mind, and it's what we call the hook. What is my hook to get my social media looked at? So when you're posting a just listed, maybe it's your listing, or you're posting something to get more buyer audience, you got to get in that buyer's or that seller's head. What is the hook I need to have my caption so compelling that someone will look at it? So that's the art of the prompts that we'll go through in a little bit. Here's a note, understanding the boundaries. What AI is not. It's not a substitute for legal advice or a broker's final judgment. If you're asking for something that is so important, it is also going to say you need to reach out to your broker. And then also, just because AI created it doesn't mean you need to go back and then you don't need to look at it. You need to go back and make sure, is this accurate that I'm putting out? Because AI could be wrong sometime. I've had to say, I don't like what you wrote. I want you to expand on this area and then talk less about this area. So that's a great thing, and it'll do it. Okay. All right. So let's go in and open this up to the master prompt so you can see. Um, And I am going to drop this also into the chat box right now so you guys can have access to it. So it's in the link in the chat box right now, but this is the master prompt library that I keep forming. So here's the idea that we reviewed a little bit. Act as a social media copywriter, write three distinct Instagram posts for first-time home buyers in San Diego. Each post use a different hook, one myth busting, one mistakes to avoid, and one how-to hack. So that's a great master of being able to do this. So let me see if here's one of the things that will save you time. Draft a follow-up email to my client James Smith after our showing today. Make it professional friendly and include a summary of the homes reviewed. So this isn't going to give me all the information that I want, but let's see what it gives back. And it does take some time to think. It's going through some stuff. What it's looking at right now is my Gmail thread because I've sent all the homes to Jane, my client, through my email thread. So I want to run through this, why it's important now that you understand using your KW email address where you'll save some time. So what it did was it actually was looking through my Gmail that I was emailing Jane Smith, and I would email her all the homes that we're going to go see today. It would have gone through my email and now summarize that in the email. So that's an example of what you can do to save some time. If you're connecting to your KW email, and then it can actually do the follow-up, because who likes to do their follow-up? Okay. Let me go through and get another prompt in here. Sorry. So this is the first time I've taught this class, so hopefully you guys are being here's what I'm seeing some people are asking is a seller net proceed for BrokerBot. But you've got to give a little bit more information than just saying I need a seller net sheet. You see, I asked for the seller net sheet, but I also wanted to make sure it includes a disclosure that says this is an estimate only and actual amounts may vary. It's taking its time. There it goes. Now, I didn't put an address in there, but that's an example. So my recommendation then is to go through and look at these prompts. And when I talked about the RTCS style, what's my role? Tell AI you're a top producing real estate agent in San Diego. What's the task? Clearly define what you want it to do. What is the content? Provide the situation or background, like the buyer liked the home but is nervous about interest rates. And then what's the style? Explain the tone or format you want. For example, use a friendly, confident tone that builds trust. So that would help you with your communication with your clients on a follow-up after you've been out all day, but you want to do a follow-up email and you're tired and you come back in. I'm like, okay, I need to get this out to the buyer prospect about what we did today and what the follow-up was. Let's see what this does. Now, how much time did that take? 3 seconds? So again, it's there to automate a lot of the stuff that takes you your time at the end of the day and when you're too tired. All right, let's open up for Q&A. Who's got some questions? Who's got some feedback? Who's got some curiosity? Who's got some fear?
Hey, Booker Rob, this is Yvette. Cherie asked in the chat, what is a Substack?
Yeah, Beck, can you speak up? I can't hear you.
Cherie Peters asked in the chat, what is a Substack?
So a Substack is basically it's a modern version of a blog. You can go in and create your own blog, but it's now the ability to monetize. So you see a lot of these, AI is disrupting and enhancing a lot of industries, including ours. But it's really hitting the media sector. So a lot of these people that used to work for Washington Post or CNN or whatever, as they leave these companies, they need income. So a lot of people have created a Substack. A Substack is basically an enhanced blog, but in that blog, they can actually charge a monthly fee for people to subscribe to it. So if you are a purveyor of information and want to have people that read like a column, but you want to be paid for it by these readers, you can charge them a small fee each month. Now, I'm not charging a fee for my stuff. You can make it free, which mine is, but you never know. Down the road, who knows? What other questions? Why are you smiling, Alicia?
Because I'm in the conference room with John.
Oh, got it. Karine, you can't talk. Luis is scared. Look at him, says John. Okay. Lisa always looks that way. There you go, Luis. There's the eyes. Well, okay, so who's used it and had a challenge with it or had some success with it? Anybody? Has anybody here used it? Okay. All right. What'd you use it for?
I've used it for virtual staging and it turned out really well.
Okay.
And I've used it for other random questions I don't remember.
All right. John, you're using it a lot.
Yes, I assume we're talking about BrokerBot because I happened to tune in at the very end here.
Yes. This is
Yeah, I've
BrokerBot
been using it
training.
every day. Why don't you
Yeah.
turn your speaker on? Yeah, it's been really helpful actually. I've used it for writing counters, just asking general questions that I would probably text you about, honestly.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, definitely getting good answers from it. So I highly recommend that people continue using it because I think the more different questions we ask it, the more it's going to learn, and then the answers will get better and better. And sometimes I'll plug the same question into Chat GPT, and it's just not quite the same like broker quality response. Wow, what the hell is that?
I used it recently. Oh, were you done talking, John? Sorry.
Anyone?
No,
Yeah.
what's
Or did
this
you ask a
Demogorgon?
question?
I wasn't going to say Demogorgon, Karine.
You were saying you were gonna say demographic, and I kept every time you like
Oh.
paused, I'd be like Demogorgon, Demogorgon. I don't know. Anyway, ADD. I don't know what's going on with me, but anyway, I used it once. And it was awesome. So I'm really excited to keep using it. I was going to do a seller counter, and we have a PPA, a solar PPA. And so I asked it, do I need to, I wanted to mention it in the seller counter, but I wasn't sure, number one, if it's necessary, even though I would do it anyway, probably. And I didn't know how to phrase it. And it asked me, it was awesome because I just initially put, do I need to mention a power purchase agreement of a solar panel system and a seller counter offer? And then it asked me a whole bunch of questions, and it eventually, and which I would answer, and then it asked me some more. And then eventually it gave me exactly what I could put if I wanted to in the seller counter, which I did. And it said, buyer is aware the property includes a solar power system subject to a power purchase agreement. Buyer agrees to assume the PPA at close of escrow within 3 days of receipt of the PPA from the seller. Buyer shall apply with the solar company for assumption. Buyer's assumption of the PPA is a contingency of this agreement, subject to buyer qualifying with the solar. Anyway, it was exactly what I had in my mind, but I couldn't articulate it. And even though it says it's optional, I definitely wanted to put it in there. So I'm really stoked with this. If this is what's going to do for me in the future, that's what I need. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to help with those transactions that you don't do a lot of, like sewer and septic. I can't tell you how many people have gotten into a sewer and septic transaction and they didn't do the forms right. And then now the buyer and seller haven't agreed to who's going to pay for what. So, and again, I'll repeat, I've uploaded a lot of the broker advisories that were the most common things that I get questions for. And if you're not getting the right answer, again, keep challenging it and say, I don't know, I don't understand that. And by the way, if you're not getting the response fast, know that these AIs, they take some time. And there was some disruption that happened when the war started in Iran because there was a data center in the Middle East that was affected. So that slowed the response time down. And if you're not getting a response, put in the chat, are you still there? I'm not getting an answer. What's the answer? So you will see sometimes and that's okay. We've been trained to want immediate responses with our brains, with our TikTok brain rot to get the answer right away. But it doesn't always work that way in the AI world. Sometimes it just takes a while to respond. Any other questions? Well, EJ, I'm glad you're going to start using it. Everybody here's got the access to it, right? Okay. All right. Next week, we're going to go over more prompt engineering. This was the intro. I'm not going to repeat it every week. If you want to come back next week, we're going to go over some stuff that I've been using because I really took a deep dive in AI for the last 2 years, and I've really got it dialed in. And we'll also go in and review some really good prompts to help you with your business and see what real life examples look like. Okay. But right now, get in there, go in and pull the AI prompt engineering page I texted you, email that was in the chat box, and put some of those prompts in there and see what it can do. Use it for your social media, your digital media stuff. That will free up a lot of your time. Okay. All right, guys. Appreciate your attendance. And Ryan, thanks for dropping that prompt that you put in there. I really appreciate it. All right.
Thank you,
Have a great day,
Robert.
guys.